Good evening. It's very good to see you, very good to be with you, and I hope that this evening will be like, I think it's the right metaphor for today, like entering the refreshing water of eternity. The importance of satsang is the fact that very rarely in our life we have the chance to jump out of the stream of our thoughts and actions and busyness and reactions, dilemmas, small or big conflicts. Sometimes small seem big. When we are here, we can tune into a timeless space that our mind can easily tune into. It just needs the right focus, and soon it is here. It is always here. This timeless space follows us throughout our day, but we're just unconscious of it. Because the focus of our mind is turned to all those thoughts, all those emotions, all the daily trouble. So before we are going to start our talk, today I'm just going to give a long answer to a question I have here. I think a question that concerns all of us. Before that, let's meditate. And we will meditate in a guided meditation that I will later on explain. Why? What's the point? What's the meaning? So let's sit comfortably and close our eyes. And as we breathe slowly and deeply, slow down and tune into a state of meditation, we'll start by looking for our sense of self, our sense of self-existence, the very basic feeling of I am here, I exist. It is possible that at the moment this feeling is quite small, like a seed of awareness. This is perfectly fine. Let's just look for this very basic feeling that we surely all have, because all of our thoughts, feelings, and actions flow from it. And let's check where it is located in our body. We may find it in our head somewhere, the top of our head, the forehead, maybe in the throat or the heart. Our belly, our lower belly. Whatever is the starting point, that's perfect. And as soon as you have located it, just start breathing into that feeling in that area in the body. And feel how the more you're breathing into that point, the more the sense of self-presence spreads throughout your body, from head to toe. So that your sense of I am here, is gradually not only in that small area, but feels the entire body. So now breathe into this sense of self-presence that fills your entire body. And then keep on breathing into it. And let it flow also outside the body. Just like a cup that is being filled with too much water. your sense of presence begins to overflow until it is not only in the body, but it is also around the body. As if you are now enveloping your body with your presence. Now continue to breathe into this sense of presence, and now let it slowly spread and fill the space above your head. And even a far point in this room. So that you're slowly filling the entire space of the room. Until this sense of I am becomes non-local. Of course, it is still connected with one body, but not only. Feel like you can effortlessly allow this expansion of presence, becoming so much bigger and then as you continue to breathe into this sense, let it flow through the walls, the floor, the ceiling, so that it begins to cover every molecule in the air, every point in space. Slowly let this sense of I am reach so high as if it flows all the way to the edge of the universe. As if there is not one point where you are not. Feel how now this sense of I am is everywhere. And now from this expanded sense of self, take a look at all the patterns that you have left behind, all the things that worry your mind. How do you perceive them when you're that expanded? So although now we are slowly descending from meditation, you don't have to squeeze the sense of I am back into your body. Let this sense of expansion remain while you are slowly and gently opening your eyes. Of course, you don't have to open your eyes. So the truth is that you are that big. This is not an imagination. It's not a visualization that is meant to make us feel really good about ourselves. It is simply our true size that usually on a daily basis we obviously cannot contain in our mind. And to a certain degree, we also don't believe that we can be that big or function from this bigness or identify with it fully. And because we don't believe that, even if we experience that, even if we get in touch with that, we eventually shrink ourselves, bring ourselves back to a normal size that we and the society can handle. And basically, the entire spiritual journey is all about that. All about returning to the true size of ourself. Trusting that it is possible to remain like that, to live like that, and shifting our identity to that. Being able to say, this is what I am. I'm not this tiny unit of body and mind that sits right now on the chair. So this leads us to a question that I will read and then answer, and this is all connected: the meditation, this opening, and the question. And when I finish answering, then you are most welcome to ask questions. So this is the question. Maybe you will find yourself in it. I think it's everyone's question in a way. I don't want to sound bitter or complaining in this question. But I feel like every day I start my spiritual journey all over again. It's like I'm running in circles. Yes, there is more and more a change in my behavior and patterns, but as a whole, the journey feels endless. It's like never going to end. There is no end to improvement, so when and how can you feel that your journey is complete and that you are enlightened? Is it when I feel that there are no more issues to work on? Wait, it's a bit complex. I will read it again. I don't want to sound bitter or complaining in this question, but I feel like every day I start my spiritual journey all over again. It's like I'm running in circles. There is more and more change in my behavior and patterns, but the journey feels endless, like it's never going to end. If there is no end to improvement, when and how can you feel that your journey is complete and that you are enlightened? Is it when I feel that there are no more issues to work on? That's a good question. And to a certain degree, it's everyone's question. We are every day looking at our patterns and study them. We study ourselves. We learn how to become more sensitive, more accepting, more loving. We learn to open our eyes, to open our chakras, and how to feel more independent, how to be more in the here and now, more mindful, less occupied. You know what I'm describing, right? If you are not here by mistake, like just saw that there was something here and that it's cooler than outside, probably you're identifying this description. And obviously this thing feels endless. And the truth is that it not only feels endless, but it is really endless. It really is not going to end. There is always some pattern to look at, also always some, I don't know, some leftovers of my relationship with my parents to resolve. One can always learn how to love more. There's no end to learning how to love. Being more sensitive, more compassionate. And of course the question is, does that lead to enlightenment? Does that lead to a state of completion that you can say, you can stick your flag on the mountaintop and say, okay, now I've reached, I don't have any more issues. No more mother, no more father, no. All the hard work has been rewarding. I don't believe that this type of journey could ever lead to a completion. And actually, only when we begin to understand that this is not going to end this type of journey, that we're beginning to consider what a true spiritual transformation is all about. Because it's not about all this. This is what we can call self-improvement. That's one thing. And self-improvement is very different from spiritual transformation. And you can improve yourself endlessly without ever reaching spiritual transformation. Of course, there is nothing bad with self-improvement. Self-improvement is not only not a bad thing, but it is also essential. We do need to improve our sensitivity, to learn to be more loving, more considerate, to clear away certain patterns from our mind, from our body. But we shouldn't delude ourselves to thinking that this is spiritual transformation, or that this can ever lead us to a point of completion. Because self-improvement is life, you see. Life, it's our relationships, where we train ourselves to constantly respond better, be more awake, more understanding. And this will continue until our last breath. But if you're only self-improving, you're actually getting this feeling. It's like I'm running in circles. You see a change in your behavior and patterns, but as a whole, you look into the future and you're asking yourself, well, where is that point? We have this point, we are here at point X, and we have this image of point Y, and at point Y we are always loving, always beautiful, always wonderful, always compassionate, completely free. And towards this point we are walking. We are trying to reach that point. But this self-improvement is exactly what it is. It's self-improvement. It's improving, which means that it's always better, but it's never complete. You understand? So you are making it better, but you can never finish. And this is, I must share with you, I'm teaching for already 19 years, which is quite unbelievable that one can speak so much, but after 19 years, whenever I point that out, point the difference between self-improvement and spiritual transformation, it's always, in a way, to a certain degree, it's surprising. It wakes us up from a certain movement in time, and it's never too much to try to understand this difference, because in this difference, everything, the entire secret of enlightenment is. Enlightenment is not about the what you change. It's about the who. So when I am caught in the trap, in the endless circle of self-improvement, I always try to correct, to improve the contents of my consciousness. You see, I'm finding in my mind there are certain patterns, fears, desires. I'm trying to reduce the desires and the fears to enhance my good thoughts, my belief in myself, my self-acceptance side. This is self-improvement. I try to change the contents of my consciousness. But in spiritual transformation, listen to the word, to the term, transformation. Transform. It means that you become something completely different than what you are. You are not who you are. It's the certain identity that shifts, that dies, and that is replaced, or that is consumed by a higher sense of identity, a higher you, an expanded you. So true transformation is that you're constantly growing in your sense of identity. Your identity transforms. Why is it so important? Because who you believe you are shapes your entire mind and your entire emotions and your entire behavior. You see? If I think that what I am right now is a tiny Shai that is certainly going to die, that has some memories, some obviously traumas, some hopes and fears, this changes or influences the way I feel, what I feel that is important in life, my meaning of life, what makes me happy, what makes me satisfied, and also what makes me miserable. But suppose I'm realizing that all of this entire identity that I am this Shai is wrong, then everything that is important to Shai in his mind, everything that matters to this Shai, that troubles him, that puts him in conflict, all the memories, all the hunting traumas and all that, to a certain degree disappears. It's like you're cutting the roots of a tree instead of cutting branches all day long. But this is a very, very intelligent and powerful tree. It's a tree that is nourished by your consciousness, by your mind, your awareness. So it has a lot of energy. It can easily grow new branches. What does it care? That's why self-improvement is never reaching an end. Because there's always something to improve. There's always something to correct, some new problem, something new pattern that you're noticing. And you keep polishing yourself, making yourself, trying to become like a shining diamond. Only not knowing that you are already that diamond. But to realize that, you must make such a big shift. Not trying to make the nonsense of the mind into a diamond. We're trying to understand that the real thing that needs to busy us, that needs to all the energy that we need to invest is in realizing our true identity. Which means that at one level of consciousness and identity, you have some traumas and memories. At another level of consciousness, you don't have them. And I'm saying that it's really important to understand. It's actually so important to understand that it means that perhaps you do need to clear away some traumas, just like you need to eat well, to sleep well at night, to go to a chiropractor and treat your body when you have pain, whatever. Do some jogging. Then you also need to treat some traumas. Do you understand how I'm describing it? It's really important. It's just something you're treating. But the traumas, for what you are, they don't affect you. They don't even touch your being. They could never touch that because your being does not belong to time. It has not changed. It is not subjected to the laws of evolution. Now, the thing is, why am I saying that I talk about that for 19 years, but still, because even when I say that, for some reason it is received as an unbelievable thing. Everyone says, yeah, that sounds really beautiful, so poetic. But in the actuality, we return to identify and to say, yeah, I had this trauma, and this trauma is a part of me. And we still stick into that story. I use this metaphor of two very different metaphors. One for self-improvement, I call it the dirt truck, sideway. You know, like the truck where the very bumpy road that takes you really slowly to your destination. But it leads you to only a certain point, and has nothing to do with what I call the highway, which is the spiritual transformation, which is a direct way in which you move directly towards that which needs to be transformed in you. It's not your patterns, it's you. Even when we begin to experience deep spiritual states, we say, I experienced silence, I experienced light, I experienced, grace, I experienced, for example, today in the meditation, I experienced my sense of self everywhere. And we don't understand, we didn't experience all these things. This is what we are, you see? Light, silence, this consciousness that is everywhere. And when you begin to understand that all those things that you experience are actually moments that you're getting to know yourself, that's a very different understanding. Because experiences can come and go, and they do come and go endlessly. Okay, I experienced silence, and then I experienced noise. I experienced light, and then I experienced the darkness of my patterns. So what? You see? That's endless. There is no end to experience. So in self-improvement, we're just accumulating a lot of experience. But we never become something else. There is no earthquake that takes place at the core of our being, at who we are. And this earthquake can take place, sometimes it takes place just like that, we don't know why, but it takes place. Only if our attention is placed on that. I knew once an awakened woman. It's ridiculous actually to say an awakened woman, because if you're awakened, you're neither a man nor a woman, clearly, which is quite a relief. Well, but how much fuss we sometimes make around being a man or a woman, the identity, and as a result all the feelings and the gender experience and values. But so I met an awakened being, and she told me how she had been awakened. She told me that she was dancing, and in the dancing she entered the deep ecstasy. It was such pure joy and bliss and self-forgetfulness and all that. But then to her it wasn't enough. While she was dancing like that, she was there. She then asked herself, yes, but who is experiencing this dance? Who is experiencing this bliss? And as soon as she asked that question, a sort of a quickening took place, and she was detached from all that ordinary identity. She realized, because what happens in spiritual enlightenment, at least at the beginning, is that this sense of I am that we meditated on at the beginning is attached to so many things around it. It's like it's a sort of a magnet. It just things get attached to it until you can no longer see the essential thing. You see only this cluster, and then you say, this is what I am. I am this and I am that, and I am those traumas, this memory, that relationship with my parents, this relationship, romantic relationship, this hope, this desire. But if you're beginning to ask, and especially when you're happy, she was doing it not when she was in misery, but when she had no reason to ask a question, you see. No reason to go beyond the experience. So when you ask, yes, but what is experiencing, or what is observing through these eyes? You are no longer in the realm of self-improvement. You are beginning to take the highway. And you, in this question, what you do is that you are disconnecting the I am from everything. And at a certain point, because this, just like the dirt track, it requires practice, it requires attention. It's not like a perfect magic instantly, but there are major moments, major jumps. But they don't feel like the dirt track, which is like moving in this way, slowly, gradually, eternally. It feels more like a jump, a jump, a jump. This is the highway. It sleeps. Not a process. Very different. So when you are beginning to focus on the owner of consciousness, or not on the contents of consciousness, at a certain point the I am becomes disconnected. It becomes like a shining presence that is not connected to past, to future, not even to present. It's just pure presence. And when that pure presence is revealed, the first feeling that you have is, I am free. That's how it appears in our consciousness. It's this recognition, I'm free. I have always been free. I don't need to go through all that process. Yes, my body, my mind can go through that process, no problem, they will. There is no need to interrupt, to interfere, but the body and mind, they have their own. They are a part of time, a part of the process, yes, but not you. So you are realizing, I don't need to go through all that. Which means that you don't need to search anymore. So when this question is asked, when and how can you feel that your journey is complete and that you are enlightened? What happens in the process of self-improvement, that a certain identity of a seeker begins to form. I am a seeker. I search, I search, I search. Your true self has nothing to do with the seeker. This I am has nothing to do with the search. It's not searching. So when you're realizing that, then you are no longer searching. Because you are not going anywhere. You're not a part of time. So this is the first realization, and the beginning. It's like you can find yourself dancing in the streets. You feel so that the stream of joy is actually endless. Because you're realizing that you're really not going anywhere. You don't need to correct anything, to improve anything. To make anything complete. Because the search is never going to lead to an answer. You were fooled by the way thought is made. Always giving us a sense of moving from X to Y. Always, forever. And then from that I am free, you're just like we did in the meditation before, you're continuing to expand. It's like we're starting as a seed of consciousness. It starts very tiny inside us. And at the beginning it's a cluster. Then as soon as it is freed, it begins a journey of spreading, unfolding. The question is, do you believe that? You see? Or do you still say, yes, but I still need to accept myself? First I need to accept myself. First I need to get over that trauma, that abuse, that violence, and so on and so on. All these conditions. When you are beginning to shift in your identity, you're realizing that that one of the most precious things in the whole world of the New Age movement, self-acceptance, actually doesn't even exist on a higher level. You don't even understand what they're talking about. And actually, self-acceptance doesn't have an end. There's always something that is incomplete, imperfect about this self. It could always be better. And when we say, I accept myself, it's just the opposite. It's like creating a concept to cover up a pain or a sense of incompleteness. When you are free, do you need to accept yourself? So, as I say, it's not about giving up completely self-improvement. It's not that we have created now a new enemy. It's only saying self-improvement has its part. It only has nothing to do with spirituality. That's the only thing we can say. True spirituality is only about a gradual shift in my self-identity, the expansion of myself. Breaking free from identification. It's always easier to grasp concepts like, I don't know, like be here and now, or be mindful, or accept yourself and open your heart. And naturally this is far more common. And that's why we have satsang. To remind ourselves that there is the ultimate way that goes beyond all these concepts. And asks the direct question. Because when you are yourself, all these qualities of being here and now and being mindful and loving and having your heart open, this is all, it's one package. It comes with who you are. Now let's see if there are any questions.
Yes, I would like to ask something.
Please.
When I sit here,
Yes.
and
Don't worry, I will repeat the question in case you can't hear.
I feel that there is just this space, and that I somehow get absorbed by this space, and that I'm somehow in it, like a container of life, and that everything is just appearing in me, like the sounds, your sounds, my sounds, it doesn't matter actually, they're just appearing inside me. And that is the substance of life, or no substance, or how to say it, the only real substance.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I open my eyes, I lose it. I always lose it immediately. And then I put person on you. I'm so sorry. I make persons. And this is so painful for me, because I know it's not true. It's not true. But the habit is so strong. Even if I've known it and seen it and feel it so deep, there's just this purring of the heart. But then the visual aspect comes in. With sound, it's much easier. Sound is so clear that it's in me. But when the visual aspect is coming in, then this separation is happening.
Yes, yes. That's a very good question. So I will repeat it quickly. The question is when I'm in closed eyes, then I can sense myself as the container of life, and all sounds are in me. Then when I open my eyes, then what I see is persons. And this is very painful. First of all, the fact that it is painful to you means a lot. It means that you are actually very close to getting it, because you are rightly focused, and when we are rightly focused, also the untruth hurts us, begins to hurt, and that's actually a good sign. I know that things that hurt are interpreted as not nice, not desirable, but when the untruth hurts, it means that we are getting close to truth. Because our heart craves this understanding. So you're saying when I open my eyes and I look at the world, I see persons. And it is true, of course, that why did the sages teach us to close our eyes in meditation? We need to be very careful never to think that closing our eyes is the ultimate meditation. It's just the beginning, you see. What we are told is first close your eyes, because it's the easiest. When you close your eyes, you have already 50% of the illusion removed. You don't see the world. You don't see objects. And that's such a shortcut. That's why our meditations are deeper, and that's why we have here at the center a specifically designed dark room that enables an immediate access to the timeless self. Because as soon as you are in a realm of no object, and you can even open your eyes and you see no object, your mind begins to transform. It has no grasp. So the sense of presence remains the only thing that is. So darkness, closing our eyes are a much easier access, but they're always only the beginning. The whole thing is what happens when we see objects. And the thing is that from your description, the way it sounds is, when I open my eyes, I see persons. But then I'm asking once again, yes, but what is looking? What is looking through your eyes? What is looking through these eyes? Because when I open my eyes, the first thing that I see is objects, you see. But this is only because I'm not asking, yes, but what is seeing those objects? Think of it like there are eyes, and behind the eyes there is the thinking mind, but behind there is something that is surely not a person. And therefore, I would recommend actually turning the meditation for you into a meditation with open eyes, to walk as much as possible. You know that my own awakening took place only in open eyes. I almost never meditated, and whenever I meditated in closed eyes, I was so rebellious and bored. Seriously, I was just sitting in meditation and thinking, when is it going to end? It's eternal. Because I wanted to see and to understand my relationship with the world as I walk, as I look at a person, as I look, how do I listen? From where do I look? Who is the looker, the observer? That's the key. Even only asking this question begins to transform. Because it means that instead of looking at the persons, you look at the looker. Do you see? I know that physically, don't try it because it will obviously look very odd. Unless you want to play with it. but it's like, in energetic terms, it means like turning the third eye backwards. And when you do that, you don't see persons. Because you don't look as a person.
Actually, it is also with you, it is quite easy because you don't project person on me. You don't do that.
Yes.
And I feel that. And this is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
This is not happening. This is love.
Mm-hmm.
It is so relaxing for me. It's obvious. You don't put person on me. You don't see me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so heart opening and melting.
Mm-hmm.
There's just emptiness somehow looking at me, that I feel the oneness in that.
Yes, I hold it for you.
Yes.
Until you take it.
And this is love, it's obvious.
Mm. And what a maturity it is to be able to say this is love. We only identify, our small self identifies love as being given attention to my person, right? That somebody sees me. Do you know in relationships it's look at me. Okay, do you see me? Do you see my needs? Do you see my... And it's always about wanting to be recognized as a person. If I'm able to say, no, love is when someone looks at me and sees the known person. Identifies himself as the only self in me.
I feel the longing so strong to live like that society, that we live like that, because it's possible. We have this capacity, we humans. And it makes me excited and also sad, both. It's sad that we don't live it, that we are so strange, but actually it is so simple, and we are capable to...
Yes, that is true, but first we need to destroy the concept of society in us. There is no society. There is only I am. Because as long as I look at the world and I think, oh, I wish all people could share the oneness and so on and so on, what I do is I cultivate, I preserve this sense of separation. Now it's me wishing for all those people, and I'm basically wasting my energy on a very, very benevolent wish, but I'm still wasting my energy. I'm still restricting myself. And creating an image of the world. Do you understand? As long as I have the world, me and the world, well, that's the whole illusion, isn't it? There is no world. At least not in the sense that we think of it, like me and the world. Those people, all those others.
Is this all my own projection then? Made by my own mind?
It's because there is you. There is a world. The world and you, they come together. When this you is destroyed, then the world is destroyed too. There is no more question of me and my relationship with the world. There was one moment with my favorite spiritual teacher, my most greatest inspiration, whom I've never had the chance, unfortunately, to meet in person, Jiddu Krishnamurti. And he went to India to teach after exactly when Mahatma Gandhi was murdered, was assassinated. And everyone in India were, of course, very busy with thinking about who is to blame, because it was already divided the entire nation, and it was us against them, and all that, the Muslims, the Hindu. And somebody raised their hand and asked Krishnamurti, who killed Mahatma Gandhi? Who is responsible? And he gave them a shocking answer. He said, it was you. Now that's not nice to be blamed for killing Mahatma Gandhi. But then, of course, he explained what he meant. He said, it's you. In the way you are dividing, you are identified with this thought that divides the world into Muslims, into Hindu, into me and into them. You are creating all this identity and division, and therefore the root of the assassination is in your mind. So then you understand that the first thing that we need to do is to stop the division. So it's very subtle, not to hope for, I don't know, that all people will become loving or something like that. That everyone will be happy. Because as soon as there is no division, you are already the starting of something else. This seed of consciousness that we meditated on at the beginning of this satsang is everywhere, in everyone. It holds the entire universe. Even if it starts very tiny. And even if it is right now attached, glued to all kinds of memories and stories, and that seem very convincing. So let's see if there are more questions. Please.
What are your thoughts about the use of psychedelic substances in order to bring about a shift in consciousness?
Could you please ask again? What are my thoughts about psychedelic substances that could?
To bring the shift in consciousness.
That could bring the shift in consciousness. That's a very interesting question. Because there is, to me, absolutely no question about the fact that psychedelic substances can create those this removal of the boundaries of consciousness, and sometimes, of course, they can get people trapped in all kinds of illusionary dimensions, in astral planes, but sometimes they can do that. They hold the potential, most definitely. The only subtle thing about it is that eventually the I am cannot be induced by any kind of external phenomena. Because as long as it needs something to awaken it, to bring it to consciousness, it means that our awakening depends. So even if it triggers psychoactive substances, they trigger this opening, widening of consciousness, eventually we will need to transcend this need, this dependency. Use it only as a reminder. Remember that the psychoactive plant or substance has only provided us with an experience that should be made into an identity. And identity never relies on any substance or any experience, any meditation, any teacher also. Nothing. It's the source of experience. It's the one who experiences the psychoactive experience. You see? That's a very subtle thing. It's because you can have a tremendous experience, but then the question is, yes, but who is the one who is experiencing this gorgeous, amazing, endless expansion? That expansion can diminish. But when identity is truly awakened, it can never rise or fall, you see? It is always the same, and that's enlightenment.
So there is no active way, actually, to induce transformation?
No, there are many active ways to induce, to encourage, to point, to trigger. That's why satsang is one way. Sitting with a teacher, silence retreats, psychoactive plants, some forms of profound meditations, darkness. I'm talking about complete darkness, a retreat in darkness, and so on and so on. There are ways, but they mean nothing unless your attention is on that. Otherwise, you will just have a great series of adventures of consciousness. You will say, wow, last year I had such an amazing, I was in a darkness retreat for 21 days. People actually do it, and it's very brave. 21 days in darkness, and I was the cosmos. Good for you, wonderful, but what do you mean I was? So what are you now? This cupboard? What are you, if not that which you say you experienced? Do you understand? This whole thing. So I can I can take psychoactive plants. And people do, and I've seen people take that, and they can say I had an amazing experience. But to me, the question is not what experience you had, but who do you think you are right now? That's the only question that we care about, and that's actually the only indication for transformation. It's not what we had yesterday, not even 5 minutes ago. Like, wow, at the beginning of the satsang, I felt my sense of self spreading. Then we need to ask immediately, okay, but so what that means about who I am right now? Because this is my true identity. What the coming down and whatever is the habit of the mind. So we need to understand an experience can be amazing, but it can only become transformative when we understand that it's all about the experiencer. And sometimes it feels annoying. What are you talking about? Now I'm in an amazing state, and I will start looking at the one that experiences. That's such a turn-off. But that's truth, and that's transformation. That's an everlasting realization, because as soon as the shift begins to take place, it can never return to where it was. It never returns. It's like, because it's just like, it's something breaks at the core of self. Even if after you have horrible experiences, they don't touch it. Time cannot ruin, cannot corrupt, cannot change, cannot contaminate the timeless, which you are. So even when you are meditating, understand the most important thing in meditation is asking, yes, but who is the meditator? And it's not an intellectual question, I hope you understand. It's more like turning your attention to the one that experiences, feeling this presence. Two more questions. Yes, please.
It's a question from Paul.
From?
Paul.
Hello.
Do you think an enlightened being, in his or her moment of death, is still going to enter a new realm of bliss unknown to him or her? Or will nothing change at all? Just closing eyes for eternity.
Okay, again, do I think, it's already an interesting question.
An enlightened being, in his or her moment of death, is still going to enter a new realm of bliss unknown to him or her? Or will nothing change at all? Just closing eyes for eternity.
Okay, so an enlightened being, when they close their eyes for the last time, as, or rather, let's be more accurate, when their physical vehicle closes its eyes, physical expression or extension closes its eyes for the last time, because this is how it is experienced really. It's like looking at a car that you were driving going out of business. You understand that it is just you are watching the car that you were driving for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. Now the car is gone, is finished. You can no longer use it. That's how it is experienced from the enlightened perspective. So when the car is finished, what is happening? That's your question, Paul, right? Does the enlightened being enter a greater state of bliss, or does nothing change? Essentially, the whole thing about enlightenment is that nothing changes. We need to understand that's the whole, if we summarize it, put it in a nutshell, that's what it's all about. It's nothing changes. There are events, experiences, rises and falls for everyone, and difficult days and wonderful days, and success and failure, everything happens. And then there is also death. And death is one of those experiences. One of those things that come and go. So perhaps there is less the sense of the burden or limitation of being tied into some kind of a physical vehicle, and that can be, I guess, a certain new taste. But does the core change? Does the self-identity that we have found while we were in the body, does that expand? Of course not. It doesn't move a bit. It doesn't grow, it doesn't shrink, it doesn't... At the depth of enlightenment, there is no more expansion, just as there is no more contraction. Do you understand? It's not about size. It's like one point or all points. It's like everywhere and nowhere. It's all places and no place. So therefore there is no, you cannot say that you are big or you are small. I hope it's very clear. All of that is completely what you are and your state right now. I'm really describing it. So a last question I saw. Yes.
So I've been practicing I-am meditation, following encounters with Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta Maharaj.
A good company.
I feel very comfortable with him.
Yes, of course.
I hope it's for a reason. I'm sure it's not a mistake. And despite that, I'm not a person who is strong with experiences. I've never had a background in paranormal experiences, early awakening in childhood, or anything of that sort. So I guess I'm just a different type, like everybody. But my question is actually about each person or people achieving the final goal, because the more I'm walking my path and watching other people's paths and work, I'm getting the feeling that it is whatever happens is destiny-based, and you can also call it coincidence. Some people call it like this, some people call it like that, but I'm not sure that it's going to necessarily be based on the amount of work one puts in, because like you said, it has qualitative jumps. You jump into the, okay, I'm everything, and then from everything I become nothing, or whatever. That means I have not experienced that, so I'm just, talking about what enlightened people, how they describe it. So maybe what I'm saying is that despite the fact that I have huge belief, for example, I found my sadhu, and there's progress even on the qualitative side, I am even confident or comfortable with the fact that since everything is destiny-based, I might not in this dream get to a point where I'm enlightened, and I'm okay with it because this is the way it's supposed to happen. But what I'm saying is that I'm not sure that the amount of work I will do, and even that I will be led to enlightenment. I say be led because there's always the concept of the grace of the guru.
Yes, yes.
So I reach out, but not necessarily the hand is being reached out to me, to pull me up. I hope it was clear.
Yes, definitely there. So I will. I guess we can summarize it that your question that it is it also a matter of in a way destiny or grace that intervene and make the leaps more possible, right, and fulfilled in this lifetime. Yes. I would be very careful not to think in terms of time, because as soon as I'm thinking about this is good as theories, as ways to look at my own journey and to try to to understand the world and the ways of the world and so on and so on. But as soon as I'm starting to think, perhaps this will not happen to me in this lifetime, then I'm inhibiting my understanding that this has nothing to do with time. Because the thing is, please don't have it as a sort of an image of something that explodes and that changes everything and fireworks and all that. It's in the very way you are right now, even if it's very subtle, even if it's just that, it's just annoying, or it's just a very simple thing, that this cannot be a matter of time, you see? This has nothing to do with time. There is no lifetime, there is no destiny to that. It's only you who are the perceiver of this destiny and this lifetime. You don't belong to time. Nothing is going to happen to you. No grace helped me because I was always what I was, you see, and I'm always what I am. So when I ask myself, will it happen to me? Then I need to immediately say, yes, but what is this me that expects something to happen to it, because this me is the whole thing, and what is this future? You need to cut off the roots of the illusion now. What happens on the outside is really none of our concern. We just need to be very awake what our mind is doing, how it's creating time, how it's again thinking about the seeker that is going to become a liberated being, or whatever. It's just not that. And when I see this play of the mind, I am in truth already. Thank you. Thank you for being together.